This video is going to introduce the locations chosen for the setting of the Alchemist's tomb. One of my great joys in writing is getting to travel to so many cool places in my imagination. But with this book, I actually traveled to many of these destinations in preparation for writing this novel. Since this is a direct sequel to Joseph Nicolet and the Alchemist's Map, we're starting this book in Scotland at Merthyr Castle, the very real estate of William Drummond Stewart. You'll get to visit the chapel of St. Anthony the Eremite, and later while in Scotland, the infamous Rosslyn Chapel. The two central characters, Lord William Drummond Stewart and the frontier sharpshooter Antoine Clement, go in opposite directions to solve the great mystery involving the Philosopher's Stone, its maker, and its purpose in the days to come. So Clement and company depart Scotland for a tour of the North Sea, where they first travel to the Orkney Islands, then to Sweden, where they travel up the Dalavan River to the town of Fors. Before crossing the Atlantic, they stop at Bergen, Norway, where they research the legendary Paul Knutson and his infamous expedition to North America in the 1350s. The Atlantic crossing brings them to the Faroe Islands, where they pick up a stowaway by the name of Sophus Nielsen. The third leg of their adventure takes them to New England, where they temporarily stay in Boston. Leaving the rest of the party behind, Clement travels to Oak Island, Nova Scotia, for some personal retribution. Professor Corey Morgan, their Norse history and mythology expert, then takes the crew to nearby Newport Tower, where they speculate on the origins and purpose of this Norman tower. The fourth leg of the Clement adventure goes to Hudson Bay. Originally mentioned in The Alchemist's Stone, Hudson Bay was once a battleground between the English and the French forces led by the Lemoyne family. For Clement, who is half French and half Cree, Oxford House is the legendary fur trading post once used by his father. At Lake Winnipeg, tales of Nordic explorers are shared, including a tale described on the Kensington runestone about a Norse expedition that traveled up the Red River to get to Minnesota. Unfortunately, our heroes can't head to Minnesota yet and travel across the northern prairie to a place they call Cold Garden, which will eventually become the city of Calgary. From their camp at Cold Garden, they travel through a narrow pass in the Rockies, named after the very real James Sinclair, who led a group of Canadian colonists into British Columbia. At the headwaters of the Columbia River, our heroes settle in for bloody revenge against their enemies. The final leg for Clement and company is a return to the land of the Blue Woman, Tunwin, now known as Minnesota. Having once hunted in the area, Clement returns to two sacred locations of the Lakota people, Devil's Tower, known as Bear Lodge, and Bear Butte, known as Bear Mountain. With Minnesota about to open up to settlement, the team crosses the Continental Divide at Lake Big Stone before reaching their final destination at Lake Manitou. Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, William Drummond Stewart goes on his own adventure to learn about the Order of Eos and their strange obsession with ancient kings of old. After departing Scotland at the same time as Clement, Stewart and company travel the Mediterranean. Their first stop is Rome and the Capitoline Museum, where they meet the good guys who belong to the periphery. After confirming the truth about their quest, Stewart and company begin searching for the tombs of 6 ancient kings. With Roman Emperor Domitian on their list, they travel from Rome to Taranto and Ravenna in trying to locate the evil leader's final resting place. The next stop is Macedonia, where they visit the birthplace of another famous name on their list, Alexander the Great. Having struck out on the Mediterranean, Stewart and Company then traveled to ancient Egypt. After making port at Alexander the Great's Alexandria, they follow legend and lore to the Siwa Oasis, where rumors suggest Alexander might have been buried. Upon returning from the deep desert, the expedition goes up the Nile River to Thebes and the tombs of the 18th dynasty pharaohs in the Valley of the Kings. During their quest to find the tomb of Ramses the Great, our adventurers also make stops at Amarna, the ghost city of Pharaoh Akhenaten and Queen Nefertiti, as well as the city dedicated to Ramses the Great's dead daughter, Bent-Aneth. The third leg of Stewart's adventure brings them to the Middle East and the ancient city of Antioch, where the Seleucid king Antiochus Epiphanes IV once lived as he waged war against the Jews in the Maccabee Wars. In searching for Antiochus Epiphanes' tomb, they also visit ancient Templar strongholds in Bagras and Limassol, Cyprus. Bad luck and a chance encounter send Stewart and Company to the Danube River Valley, with part of the team traveling down the river from Vienna and the other half going up the river from the Black Sea. Their plan is to reunite at a place known as the Iron Gates, near Galubach Fortress. The Goths, who once sacked Rome, Taranto, and Ravenna, eventually left Italy and found a new home deep in the mountains of modern-day Romania, which they used Germanic words to create the name, Transylvania. If you're familiar with the real-life story of Vlad the Impaler from the Dracula legend, then it won't surprise you that the Order of the Dragon is based off of real-life castles found in the Carpathian Mountains, where Saxon kings lived in ancient castles, fighting off mighty empires. In this story, with the Russian army crashing into the region from the north, and the allies of the Ottoman Empire crashing in from the south, our heroes are beset on all sides by danger as they search for a tomb with sinister connections to the past and dire implications for the future. While nearly a dozen characters left Scotland in Part 1, only a handful will return to Scotland by the end of the book. But I'll leave that part for you to discover yourselves.